Transfer deadline day is now almost upon us. This is the part of the year where football clubs really start to panic when they've not got their business done. They end up paying over the odds for someone or desperately try to get a loanee in from the Premier League. And with it being transfer deadline day tomorrow, I thought that now would be a good time to have a look back on last year's transfer deadline day, have a closer look at some of the biggest deals that went through in the Championship, and see just how those players have got on 1 year later. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like. But without any further ado, let's get stuck in. Last year on transfer deadline day, we saw Birmingham striking a deal for Manchester United youngster Tahith Chong. Now, Blues fans already knew what Chong was all about. They'd had him on loan in the previous season, and in the end, this turned out to be a great bit of business by Birmingham. Chong went on to have a really solid season for Blues in the Championship, chipping in with 4 goals and 5 assists for the most part, was their most creative player. And then less than a year later, Chong got his move back to the Premier League when Luton Town came swooping in, and Birmingham made a healthy profit on the player who they'd only signed a year prior. All round, this deal worked out for Birmingham and a great bit of deadline day business. Cardiff completed the signing of Callum Robinson on transfer deadline day. I was absolutely fuming that Preston didn't go back in for Robbo, but in the end, Cardiff getting the deal over the line for around about 1.75 million. Considering the struggles that Cardiff had in front of goal last season, Robinson was, especially for that first half of last season, probably their most threatening player in a Cardiff side which did lack a creative threat. He averaged a goal contribution every 141 minutes, which is really decent going. Very tidy player. I'll always love Robinson from his time at Preston. Did miss the second half of last season through injury and is slowly being eased back into that side this season, it would seem. But I'm interested to see where Robinson now fits in under Errol Bullock, given the new players that Cardiff have signed this summer. Yet to start a game in the Championship this season, so interested to see what the long-term picture is with Robbo at Cardiff. Huddersfield struck a deal for Michael Healick last time around on transfer deadline day, and in what turned out to be, a real topsy-turvy season for Huddersfield last time around. Healick probably was from start to finish their most consistent performer, won more man of the match awards than any other Huddersfield player last season, and was a large part of why they ended up surviving. So another good deal on deadline day. Hull signed Adama Traore on deadline day. This was a window where Hull was snapping up seemingly every talent coming out of Turkey, but he had to be quite patient in making his debut. He arrived at the club injured and had to wait all the way until February until making his first competitive appearance for Hull. So realistically speaking, still in the fairly early days as a Hull City player. I didn't realise until I looked into the stats just how much of a yellow card magnet he's already been this season. In his first 5 matches of this season, League and Cup combined, he's already picked up 4 bookings. Looking forward to seeing more of him as the year goes on though. Panucci Kamara moved over from Plymouth to Ipswich on deadline day last season for a fee of around about £500,000. Was seen as a really promising signing at the time, but last season was a bit of an injury hit campaign for the midfielder, and because of that could never really establish himself in that Ipswich side, which went on to win promotion. He's been sent on loan this season to Charlton back in League One, where he'll look to rediscover that form he showed at Plymouth previously. Leeds United snatched up Wilfred Gnonto on deadline day last year, and boy have we had a lot of drama from the player since. A steady first season in English football, scored 2 Premier League goals, chipped in with 4 assists in a season where quite a few of his minutes did come from the bench. He was sort of in and out of that side as the year went on, obviously different managers to take in as well. And then this summer he's been involved in one of the craziest transfer sagas we've seen. At one point he was hell-bent on that move to Everton, that didn't go through. He cut himself adrift from the rest of the Leeds squad, but he's since been brought back into the frame, and as of recording seems as if he will be staying at Leeds for the foreseeable future. I'm excited to see more of the teenager in the Championship, I have to admit. I do think that a full season at this level could do his development the world of good. Leicester City snatched up Wout Faes on deadline day last year, and he had a tough debut season in English football, I think it's fair to say. He was part of the Foxes' defence that conceded a hell of a lot of chances, didn't get that much protection from their midfield, and ultimately ended up being relegated. Was turned into a bit of a meme after that Anfield performance where he scored 2 own goals, but I think this season is where he's looking to prove the doubters wrong and really get his Leicester City career properly up and going. Already looked good so far this season, and definitely more to come from him. Millwall picked up Callum Stiles on loan from Barnsley on deadline day last season. I thought this one was a decent pickup by Millwall at the time. He went on to be a solid performer for them, albeit did miss a large chunk of the season through injury. And interestingly enough, the Hungarian international has been subject to plenty of Championship interest this summer summer as well. Be interested to see if he's on the move this deadline day or not. We saw Plymouth striking the loan deal for Birmingham forward Sam Cosgrove on deadline day last season. His time at Birmingham has been nothing short of a disaster really, considering the money that Blues have paid for him. He's still yet to score a goal for them. But his move to Plymouth in League One actually turned out to be really quite successful. Chipped in with 12 goals across all competitions as Plymouth went on to win League One. Southampton completed a double deal on transfer deadline day for Manchester City youngsters Samuel Edozie and Juan Lorios. Now from Lorios we've not really seen that much of him in a Southampton shirt so far. I believe he's now been recovering from an injury, set to come back soon. So looking forward to seeing more of him long term, but in terms of Edozie, very exciting player obviously. We've got to see more of him in the Championship so far this season. He was on target for Southampton in the most recent game against QPR. There is plenty of competition for places in that Southampton front line, especially as they could still add to their options between now and the end of the window. Edozie, someone who I do very much like the look of. Stoke completed the loan signing of Dujon Sterling from Chelsea on deadline day last year. Well, he went on to have a solid loan spell at Stoke, to be honest. He's since left Chelsea and has joined Rangers on a permanent basis. Finn Stevens joined Swansea on loan from Brentford on deadline day last year. This loan move just didn't work out. Ultimately, he made just 5 substitute appearances from the bench for Swansea before going back to Brentford in January. And then there was Brandon Thomas Asante signing for West Brom. Now, I believe that a deal was struck a day before deadline day last year, but I wanted to chuck Thomas Asante in as I thought he'd be an interesting player to talk about in this video, especially as he is a player of interest going into deadline day this season. Stoke City, the latest club being linked to the West Brom forward, so it'll be interesting to see if he's on the move once again. But it was quite the transfer saga that West Brom managed to win in the end. A few League One clubs along with Birmingham were trying to sign Asante while he was at Salford. In the end it was West Brom who struck a deal for just 300k in the end. He went on to have a really solid first season in the Championship, scoring 9 goals in all competitions. There we have it though guys, those were some of the biggest deals from now Championship clubs that went through on deadline day last year. Can we beat that with some even bigger deals going through tomorrow? Let me know your take on all your transfer activity in the comments down below. Do you think your club will get any big deals done on deadline day? Other than that though guys, thank you very much for tuning in and I'll see you all in the next one.